Major funding for Jan Scott tonight is provided by Rock Bottom Restaurants, additional funding is provided by Left Hand Brewing Company and by Estes Park Brewing Company, by Eads News and Smoke Shop, by Boulder Denver Couriers, by the Boulder Army Store, and by Multi-Pure Drinking Water Systems, by Nature's Own Imagination, and by the Baobab Tree. Well, welcome to tonight's program, everyone. In yesterday's Colorado Daily, Mike Sandrock, writer, has this story. CU media professor says television is appalling. Right here on the front page, if you can see this. One of the few news stories that you see where a professor or a TV critic or anyone in the industry would dare come out and criticize that sacred box called television and radio. And of course, if you watch us regularly, you know that we're kicking the crap out of them on a routine basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, Professor Michael Tracey from the University of Colorado. He has just returned from the United Nations World Television Forum, where he kicked Ted Turner around and a few other people. Thanks for being on the television show with us by telephone.
Nice to be with you.
All right. A little bit about television appalling. Why is it appalling, and what's your whole shtick? What's your deal? What is it? What are you seeing that other people are not seeing?
Well, I think a lot of people are concerned with television, but the problem is they tend to be people who are not in the industry. I mean, I find it's one of the more difficult problems of trying to talk about television in the United States is the people inside the networks and inside local stations don't want to talk about it. But my main shtick, as you call it, is, as you mentioned, is that basically, if I look at American television and I find it superficial, trivial, banal, limited, I find it exploitative, uninteresting, more often than not boring, an absence of creativity, a smothering of talent, repetitive. So I'm somewhat underwhelmed by its levels of achievement. And I think the reasons why there is such a problem with it, at every level, in terms of the kinds of dramas one sees, the way in which television news has evolved, it's not difficult to explain. Basically, it's to do with the crude use of a market mechanism, i.e. A rather simplistic sort of dumbing down based upon rather crude and manipulative efforts to develop ratings. So I find the rating system deeply corruptive.
Ted Turner spoke at this event, and he attacked the chairman of the Fox network, Rupert Murdoch, and you came back at Turner.
Right. I mean, Turner was making all kinds of pleasant noises towards. There were a lot of public broadcasters from around the world at this conference, and he was making all kinds of noises in their direction, as well as in the direction of Brutus Gali, who was also there. And the way he did that was to basically assault, to attack Rupert Murdoch. Now, Rupert Murdoch definitely needs to be attacked because he's. Rupert Murdoch is probably the single most important on the planet now in terms of important person on the planet in terms of television.
People don't realize how much Rupert Murdoch owns.
I think people don't realize quite the sheer power of people like Murdoch and Turner, and one or two slightly lesser known names like Jerry Levin, also of Time Warner, like John Malone at TCI. I mean, these are hugely powerful individuals with the capacity to shape the current nature of television and the whole future of television. And I find that distinctly worrying. So the point I made, I had the kind of last word at the conference, which was useful. The point I made was that the idea of somehow Turner attacking Murdoch was ludicrous. That what you had here, in effect, was a struggle by these two men to be masters of the universe, and that we had to recognize that they were seeking global domination of television. They had huge capital resources behind them, and that their success would not be in the broader public interest or public good, either at the national level or at the global level. So I was trying to suggest that debate of what to do about the Murdochs and the Turners of the world in the next century should be a very important part of political debate.
Now here we are on public access on Jann Scott tonight. I can come out and say anything I want to. I can have you on this TV show as a guest. I assure you, if I were on Channel 20 or Channel 31 or Channel 4, the NBC affiliate, you wouldn't even be allowed on the show.
Well, exactly.
In fact, when I worked at KNUS Radio, or the KOAs of the world, you would never, ever, ever be allowed on a general talk radio show or a general talk television show to talk about this.
Absolutely. I spent, before I came to the United States in 1988, I was 10 years running a research center in London, and I was constantly on television talking about the issues of the future of broadcasting, future of television, future satellite and cable and so on. I never get invited here. The only times I'm invited to, other than shows such as your own, but the only time I'm invited, for example, to an appearance on, say, Channel 7 in Denver, one of the affiliates, is when there's an issue of something like television violence. So I'll be invited to talk about that. But the idea of being invited to talk about the nature of American television, you're right. I mean, we're marginalized, we're excluded, which is unfortunate, because I think it's an important debate that has to take place, should take place.
Well, you're a professor at CU in what?
I'm in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication, and I'm director of the Center for Mass Media Research.
Couldn't you be fired for your views? I'm serious.
No.
No?
I couldn't.
Why not?
I'm a full professor with tenure, so if they want to say that I should say nice things about Turner, they can get lost, because I'm not going to say nice things about Turner.
Now, just a second. You're a full professor with tenure, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, it means I have tenure, which is basically a permanent relationship between myself and the institution.
So you have the right to think your thoughts and speak your mind.
I don't just have the right; I have the responsibility. I believe that those of us who are given what is a very privileged environment, i.e., we're paid to think and write and teach and so on. I think we don't just have a right to speak. I think we have a responsibility to speak out. And I spent my whole life, my whole professional life, certainly since the early 70s when I began my doctoral work, writing and thinking and talking about the nature of broadcasting and the nature of television in particular. And I think we have a responsibility to do that. We have a responsibility to call it as we see it. And what I see is not good for American society. What I see is basically a corrupted television system. I don't mean corrupted in some sort of fiscal sense, but corrupted in terms of its creativity and quality and standards. This society is not well served by its television system. I mean, the most grotesque example at the moment is the obsession with the OJ trials. What that embodies, all the problems, all the trivialization, all the banality of American television in the latter part of the 20th century. And it isn't as though there weren't moments in the history of American television which were rather fine traditions. The time of Edward R. Murrow perhaps being the best example. That there is a betrayal of the possibilities of television, and in my view there is a betrayal of American society because it is not well served.
Why is
television system.
Listen, Michael, why is it that Joanne Ostrow, the critic for the Denver Post, or Dusty Saunders don't come out and talk about these things at great lengths? I mean, they pay a little bit of homage to it, not much, but mostly they suck up to the networks. Isn't it a TV critic's in the print media? Isn't it his or her job to take television to task?
Absolutely. I think it's the job of. I think it's the job of anyone who wants to look at and think about television, to, as it were, to say, call it as they see it. Now, I don't know about those people you mentioned, whether perhaps they don't see what I see.
Oh, I know about them. They work for JCOR along with working for print media. And if they were to bash television and or radio, say in the way that we do, constantly bringing them up to task, and when I say we do, I'm actually speaking for us on Jan Scott tonight, but in your case also you, they wouldn't get the stories and wouldn't get the material that they need in order to do their job. It's like the automotive reviewers. The automotive reviewers cannot really tell the honest truth in the car magazines about automobiles, because if they did, Detroit and Japan would cut them off.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think I think it's tragic that is the situation, because I mean I see to be honest, I see the nature of American television as reflective of a much broader malaise within American society. And I think that for example, the kind of cynicism that's built up, the sort of the kind of hands in the air, there's nothing we can do kind of attitude which one sees among the electorate. I mean, why is it? Yeah. I want to ask people, why is it that here in the election where the American public, the American citizenry, were electing the single most powerful office on earth, less than 50% of the people voted. Now, in my mind, there is a relationship between the malaise, if you like, of American democracy and the malaise of television, because television is the central experience of people's lives, other than perhaps work and sleep. And if there is a corruption within such a dominant and prevalent medium, that suggests to me that it is reflective of a larger problem within the society, and as it were, nurturing of that larger problem.
Well, we believe television when they look at newscasters, look at us with those moist eyes from behind the screen, and they say, "Trust me, believe me, don't change that dial, stay here, look at me, trust me, believe me, because I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you." That's all just bullshit, and don't realize that they're being played for a number.
That's what I mean when I said I find television here exploitative in a number of ways. One, it's exploitative of the audience because it doesn't provide them with a decent service. And it's also exploitative of the kinds of, particularly in television news, of the kind of stories covered, which are deeply, I find some quite often deeply offensive and manipulative. So I'm agreeing with you. I think there's a real difficulty. There's a profound problem of debating
people in
television.
People in TV and in radio call me a nut. And if I'm a nut, Michael, then you are too, except you're a professor. But no, I'm really glad that we've had a chance to meet and visit here on the television show. Is there, if people want to email you at the university or talk to you, is there a way that they can, folks who are watching the show in Denver and Boulder, is there a way for them to communicate?
My email address is Tracey, that's Tracey, @spot, that's SPOT, .colorado.edu. And my phone number is 492-0445.
492-0445. Thanks very much, Michael Tracey, professor at CU, talking about this issue of, is television appalling?
Thank you very much.
I'm feeling you. Double on-star game.
Boulder has 4 newspapers in 1996. So in this next segment, we look at all 4 of them, and I tell you what I think of them. And you, of course, can tell me what you think of them. They're all vying, of course, for space on your breakfast table and in your mind, and they're vying for, advertising dollars. First one is the Boulder Planet. Okay, this one right here. This is a free one, a giveaway. Been around for 1 year. The Planet is a contrived name, first of all. Okay, we are not Metropolis. It's trivial. If it really wanted to be a green paper, it would have a website. It wouldn't, use a lot of trees. But I think they're losing their ass at the Boulder Planet. They're losing, I understand insiders at the newspaper tell me that they are losing $20,000 a month, and there's no way they can regain that money. They hired a lot of people away from the Boulder Daily Camera, and the Colorado Daily paid them high salaries to lure them away, and I think they're losing their butt. Now, Doug Green started this newspaper. He's a newspaper guy, owns a bunch of magazines and newspapers around the country. He has a company called New Hope that he moved here to Boulder a few years ago, but he didn't research Boulder, and he did not research the history of weeklies in this town. Boulder Planet is I think it's gonna die, is my personal opinion. Now, if he wanted to seriously start a newspaper in Boulder, he would have made this a broadsheet weekly, or a broadsheet daily, excuse me, and really went after the daily market. They should change the name to like the Daily Colorado, or the Colorado something, or maybe the Boulder Daily. That would be it. So is the Boulder Planet giving us something that we already have? No, it's not. It looks like a combination of something between the Colorado Daily and the Daily Camera. Now, Greg Todd is the editor. He's not a big risk taker. Okay, this newspaper does not scream to be read. It could go away and we'd never miss it. All right. So that's the Boulder Planet. Sorry, guys. Nice newspaper, sort of, but boring. All right. Number 2 is Boulder Weekly, which is the, wrong one. I might as well. You could read this or read Boulder Weekly. Doesn't really matter because the Boulder Weekly is tabloid trash as far as we're concerned. It wins our dubious award, the worst newspaper in Boulder. All right, Stuart Gallo is not a newspaper guy. He kind of got involved in the newspaper business, and actually he's kind of lucky because I think after 2 or 3 or 4 years they're making money. But this is a newspaper that's comprised mostly of conspiracy theories and pretty much boredom. It does have kind of a sketchy crowd in this 16 to 25-year-old group that seem to like to read it, and some people do like their the listings that they have. If somebody wanted to steal some good ideas, they'd steal their restaurant stuff and they'd steal their listing stuff. And they seem like they have advertisers, but I don't know. Boulder Weekly, it's not much of a newspaper. Now, a couple things about the Weekly. We happen to make this particular issue. Where they can't seem to stop writing about it, as they write about it occasionally, but they get the stories wrong, so they've got lousy reporters, okay? And I don't mind if you do tabloid trash, but at least get the stories right. Here, they write, in case you missed it, they say, we watch them so you don't have to. Boulder Weekly pages have somehow become less exciting without the regular contributions of Jann Scott. That tells you something about me, that I would make this newspaper a lot more exciting if I were involved with it, right? And of course, folks, you already know that we've got more people who watch our TV show every night than Boulder Weekly has every week. Yeah, we're on 9 times a week in Boulder, 27 times a week in Denver. You figure it out. 300,000 people in each area. These guys are lucky if they get 10,000 readers a week. Okay. From Jann Scott, who used to complain a good deal more often. Actually, I used to complain to the Colorado Daily. I rarely wrote to these guys. In fact, we haven't heard much from the ubiquitous Mr. Scott lately. Reason is I usually write to the Daily Camera or to the Daily because people read the Camera. Who would frequent letters to our editorial department complaining that we were soft on drugs. No, I actually complained that you were a pro-drug newspaper. Everything these guys write suggests that kids and people go out and try drugs and do drugs. This is a pro-drug newspaper. This is a druggy paper right here. All right. Oh, sure. When Al Laughlin from the Samples was arrested for stealing stuff and pawning it a few months ago, Scott sent us a fax, vehemently declaring Boulder Sample a free zone and saying he didn't want those druggies breaking into his house for dope money. What the Weekly missed is that Al Laughlin from the Samples did break into my house. He broke into this building, robbed my neighbors next door, stole $5,000 worth of CDs and never gave them back. I helped get the guy arrested with my neighbors, and we applauded when the cops came in and took Al Laughlin out. And when Boulder Weekly makes a statement like that, I'm wondering, do these guys, are they proponents of heroin addicts breaking into people's condominiums and their homes and robbing them? It sounds like it to me. Another reason this is the worst newspaper in Boulder. But you can still catch Mr. Scott in his public access TV show, which seems to be on every evening on one of those channels in the high 50s. If you miss his misguided hijinks in our pages, make sure you catch the episode where Captain Clueless parks his car at a gas station after filling his tank, then walks across the street for lunch. Upon his return, the car has been towed, and Scott spent the rest of the day picketing the gas station, telling customers they'd get towed if they left their cars unattended momentarily. Better yet, don't miss the one where Mr. Alcohol is the root of all evil tours Denver's microbreweries. Now, whoever wrote this is obvious that they watch television in Denver and they don't watch television in Boulder, because all of our old shows run in Denver on channel 55. But they actually kind of got this one right. We did get our car towed at a gas station. We protested it. We just about put the darn thing out of business, and a lot of people called us and thanked us for it. Oh, what else did these guys get wrong in the high 50s? We're on channel 54, Stuart, in Boulder. Yeah. And we're on channel 55 in Denver and channel 57. Also, we just recently did some pieces for MTV, NBC Nightly News. What have you guys done lately? You won any awards? Yep, you won ours. The worst newspaper in Boulder, Boulder Weekly. All right, now, let's see. Moving right along to the, Boulder Weekly. No, the Star. It's a wonder they don't put Michael Jackson on the front cover of the Boulder Weekly. This would, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Okay. Next newspaper is the Colorado Daily. This is a real favorite of ours, and we actually like it. This is a newspaper that started out as a student paper, is now run as an independent. It's actually kind of a working communist newspaper, even though they don't wear their leftist communist politics on their sleeves the way they used to. What I like about the Colorado Daily is, one, that it's free. Two, you can now get it inside the Denver Post here in Boulder. Every Friday they put in the weekend edition. That's a good move by the Daily. Clint Talbot, their editor, is a very thoughtful guy, and he prints all points of view. So we actually have had a lot of letters in the Colorado Daily, but it primarily is a newspaper for people who are under 30 or CU students. So, even though you guys who are under 30 and 16 and 17 watches a lot, the people that really watch me more than anyone are your parents, or people that are 35 to 54, 35 to 60. In that crowd are 30 to 54. But the Daily publishes our letters, and they don't make a lot of comments. They don't make any comments about us. They just let it lie. And I like this about the Colorado Daily. They do take all points of view, even though they've got a leftist political agenda. Let's see, what else about the Colorado Daily? Just one more piece here. Nothing more about the Daily. Okay, actually, a very good newspaper, and it's good entertainment section, etc., etc. Not the greatest, but it's better than the Planet, and it's certainly better than Boulder Weekly. Finally, the best paper in Boulder, yes it is, for all your complaining and whining, it's the Boulder Daily Camera. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. First of all, the other newspapers made the Daily Camera better. When the Boulder Planet came in, the Daily Camera went more toward neighborhoods, and they have a great neighborhood news section every week. It strengthened the newspaper. They started to look and dig harder. A couple things. It has the best local news. Got a local news story. The Camera's got a reporter and a photographer on 24 hours a day. They're a daily. They're on top of what's going on here in Boulder. They have the TV guide section that comes out every single week, even though they could do a little better with television news, like putting some of us in who do local TV. They at least have a TV guide. They've got a TV section. They've got the Friday magazine, which in itself is bigger than Boulder Weekly and gives you more entertainment news than any of the other newspapers. You know, I'm sorry, these guys do a better job. I'm not sorry. They do a better job. Sure, they're a big corporate newspaper. They're owned by Knight Ridder, etc., etc., but they get the job done. This Friday magazine is an excellent magazine for Fridays. Plus their Business Plus section, better than any of the other newspapers' business section. It's better than the bi-monthly business report that comes out here in Boulder. So they've got Business Plus is better. Plus they have the Fit segment that comes out on Mondays. It is the best health section or segment that we have in any newspaper going in Boulder. Okay, it's called Fit Plus every Monday. The local editorials, the local guest opinions are the best guest editorials and guest opinions written by any newspaper. Better certainly than the Daily. They have more thoughtful people, more credible, more intelligent. The writing is better. All right, so they do an all-around good job. You can complain and whine all you want to about this newspaper, but the fact of the matter is they do the best job. Let's see, what else do they have here? Magazines, neighborhoods, most improved. They have really improved. Okay, Jan Scott, our best newspapers in Boulder, and the Boulder Daily Camera wins because they work the hardest.
Turn the music up, please.
This is International AIDS Awareness Week, AIDS Awareness Week. I call it GAIDS Awareness Week, as in gay AIDS, or I like to call it gay men's disease. I'm going to tell you why, okay? Because gay men and gay women have been lying to us about how this disease is spreading, all right? The numbers are very, very clear. 80% of all the men, all the people who have AIDS are gay men. They get it in gay bars and with each other by using unprotected sex. Now, if University of Colorado this week, I heard a couple of young women talking about, well, we really have to watch ourselves because young women are the highest rate of AIDS-infected people in the country. Well, they're the group that's growing the most, but they only represent 2%. The population that's still spreading the disease and that is most affected are men. Now, I say this because AIDS is completely preventable. It is a completely preventable disease. If gay men started having safe sex, all right, in their bars, in the slam bars, or at home, or picking each other up, or whatever they do, but that's how they get it, see? Gay men are like men. Men are pretty aggressive sexually, so they're out trying to, fuck anything they can, right? And gay men are out trying to do each other, and they end up getting AIDS, and they're killing each other. The part that really annoys me is during, Gay Awareness Week, they're blaming President Clinton because they're too stupid to put a condom on and have sex. It's like gay men need to check their dicks. You know what I mean? As in, check it before you wreck it, gays. Stop blaming us. All right? We're not the problem. You're the problem. You're spreading AIDS in your own community. You're killing yourselves. Now, you think I'm radical? You want to call Jann Scott homophobic? Well, okay, fine. Go ahead and do it. But you know what gay activists are doing in New York and in L.A. and in San Francisco? They are coming down hard on young gay men who don't use condoms. It's bullshit here. And gay women, lesbians. What's their story? They are the least infected of all people. Of course they're the least infected. Lesbian's she's not going to let a gay guy put his thing in her or any kind of a guy because they don't do it. They do it with each other. So they have the lowest incidence of AIDS in America. And for that reason, I think they're probably God's chosen people because they don't have the disease that kills them. I don't know if you want to go that way with it. Listen, that's the story. Gay men are irresponsible. And the entire gay community that is lesbians and gay men, they're covering up for them. They won't call their own people on what they're doing. They try to blame President Clinton. Or watch this, you're going to want to blame me. They're going to say, oh, Jann Scott's homophobic, or whatever they're going to say. Bullshit, nonsense. Your dick is a killer, gay guys. Stop putting your dick in each other's poop hole, all right, without a condom on it. Put a condom. That's a whole other story, right? I mean, putting somebody's poop holes. So who did kill Loraine Lopez? Her body was found in a construction site ditch near the Boulder Rec Center, North Boulder Rec Center, a couple of days ago. I received a phone call here from a crack addict who told me that her drug dealer did. Now I want to know, who is her drug dealer? Who's her coke dealer? Who is involved in this and who murdered her? Who murdered Loraine Lopez? 447-1-JAW, that's the number, it's right here on the screen. Give us a call. I have been told on Jann Scott tonight that this was no accident. Of course, the police aren't saying anything yet. They don't talk about ongoing investigations. But we've learned that it's a murder, and somebody said her coke dealer did it. Now, who's her coke dealer?